So you're now pretty familiar with variables and arrays and dictionaries. We're now going to look at one basic coding construct in Swift, which is the if statement. We've already met it before briefly in the cat app, but now we're going to look at it in much more detail. And I apologize once again that we haven't had an app to build for 3 videos. The next video will be a real app. So we'll be applying some of the skills that you've learned in these few videos. But let's get into if statements in more detail than we've seen before. First of all, we'll create a variable. I'm going to call it my name and set it equal to Rob. So a very simple if statement would just test whether or not my name is equal to Rob. So to do that, we use if and then the variable name. And you'll hopefully remember that we use 2 equal signs to show the difference between a test whether my name is equal to Rob and actually setting my name equal to Rob. There are 2 different things, and that's why we need the different symbols to represent those. And then we use curly brackets to contain the code that we want to run if this statement turns out to be true. So if my name is indeed equal to Rob. So for now, we could just display on the logs, hello Rob. So nice and straightforward. That should obviously display hello Rob. Fantastic. And if I changed my name to Robert, then this would not run. So we've seen that basic construct before. If I want to run something when my name isn't equal to Rob, you could have something like, who are you? Then we've seen this before again. So if my name is equal to Rob, then display that. If not, display who are you? So that's working well. What if we wanted to check for 2 things being true? So let's just change that back to Rob for the moment. And let's say we wanted to know the time so that the machine could say good afternoon or good morning. Well, let's say that the time is 9 o'clock. So we'll create a variable called time and set it equal to 9. Then we could check for if my name is equal to Rob and the time. So if time was going to be in the morning, it would need to be less than 12. So I've introduced 2 new things there. First, we've got that double and sign. So that's a way of checking for 2 if statements to both be true. So that is true and that is true. And I've introduced the less than sign. So that's if time is less than 12. And you can use that for integers or doubles, but obviously not strings. So if time is less than 12, then we would say, good morning, Rob. Now let's just check that. What if I change then time to be equal to 15? That'd be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we get who are you, which isn't quite what we want. We want good afternoon, Rob, if time is greater than 12. So what we can do is bring in another if statement after the else. So I'm just going to copy all of that. And we can say else if, and only you want 1 curly bracket there. So if my name is Rob and time is greater than 12, then we want to say good afternoon, Rob. So hopefully that makes sense what's going on there. We're initially checking for Rob and time being less than 12. And if those are true, we'll say good morning, Rob. And then we're checking for Rob and time being greater than 12. And that will give us good afternoon, Rob, which is currently the case because we've got Rob and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we would like a kind of catch-all option. If the name isn't Rob, then we'll do as before. Who are you? If we've got a stranger coming along, we don't care about what time it is. will just be rude to them. So if we change the name to Ian, then we should get the "who are you" statement. Fantastic. So that's a reasonably complicated if statement with 3 different parts and an "and" in there as well. What if we wanted "or"? We could say if my name is equal to Rob, or, now to do "or" we use these symbols known as pipes, and you get them by doing Shift / on your keyboard, or at least that's where I find them. So if my name is equal to Rob or time is less than 20, then we could just display one statement is true. So in this case, this statement is true because time is less than 20, but this statement isn't because my name is not equal to Rob. So one statement is true. So you've got your logical operators, as they're known there, the "and" statement and the "or" statement. And you can actually construct some really quite complicated if statements if necessary. So we've got our "and" and our "or" are our 2 basic concepts if we want to combine more than one if statement. So that's actually all I want to show you about if statements, but there's one other function that I'm going to show you now which will help you with the challenge, and that is the remainder function, which is the % symbol. So if, for example, we wanted to do 9 divided by 2 and find out what the remainder was, we can just use 9% 2, and then you can see the remainder is equal to 1. So what, for example, would 11% 3 be? I hope you got it. 11% 3 would be 2, because 11 divided by 3 goes 3, remainder 2. So that's a nice way to test if a number is divisible by another number, because if it is, let's say 9% 3, 9 is divisible by 3, so the remainder is 0. So we can test for divisibility using the test of whether 9% 3 is equal to 0 or not. So that will help you in your challenge, which is to define a variable x to be equal to an integer, and then have a chunk of code which will tell you whether or not that's an even number or an odd number. Even number, obviously, a number that's divisible by 2, odd number, a number that isn't. Good luck. All right, so I hope that went well for you. I'm going to call my number x, and initially we'll set it to be 13, which is unlucky for some, but more importantly here, an odd number. So all we need to do to check whether it's divisible by 2 or not is look at x% 2, and we want to check whether that's equal to 0. Because when we divide x by 2, if the remainder is 0, then it's gone exactly. So if the remainder is 0, then we'll display x is even. And if it's not, we'll display x is odd. I think I'll use lowercase x there. So in this case, x is odd. If we change it to 43, x is still odd. Change it to 44, and x becomes even. So that's a very nice simple bit of maths that you can do using an if statement. So congratulations, you've made it through the dark and dry bits of Swift where we've looked at arrays and variables and dictionaries and if statements. And in the next video, we're going to create a kind of mini app which is called How Many Fingers?